Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Hello everyone, and welcome to the As Seen on TV podcast for Arrow, Season 3, Episode 5, The Secret Origin of Felicity Smoak. I am your host, Clio, and welcome to the One Woman Podcast. Let's start with Felicity, obviously. The episode is named for her, but more specifically, I want to talk about her past. So, 5 years ago, she was a hacktivist, and she looked pretty good as a goth, or whatever the fuck that was supposed to be. But there was something that's bugging me about that image of her, because at the end, we see her in her dorm room shedding the goth identity, and it's like she had the nerd identity just waiting there. That's really suspicious, because it felt to me that she didn't just go out and buy that day, or maybe she did, I don't know. It's just bothering me because it seemed way too quick, that transformation. Ollie in the episode was upset at Felicity for not telling him about the virus that she had made, and she responds with, I don't know a fraction of the stuff. No, I only know a fraction of the stuff that you did on the island. Which makes me think there's a lot more to that quick switch identity that she did at the end, but it could have just been a legitimate change in character caused by a need to not be what could cause her to get arrested, so, and get in trouble. So, I don't know what her plan was, if it was premeditated, the switch of identity, but I hope that it doesn't affect the Felicity that I know and love, because I love this Felicity, and if something in her past is going to destroy her present/future, then I'll be very sad. Anyway, back to the rest of the episode. Mama Smoak comes to town, and she doesn't know electronics, and she's adorable. She is hilarious, but she opens a door to the question of who Felicity's father is. Because, I don't know, I was under the impression that, and I'm not sure, actually. I don't know why I assume this, but I do assume that, Smoak is not her father's last name, but her mother's last name. Maiden name. Her mother's maiden name. So, her father could literally be anybody. And I don't know what that could mean. I'm not so familiar with the comic version of Felicity. I'm not familiar at all, actually, with the comic book version of Felicity, so I can't even speculate. You know, but they could totally switch it up. It could be anybody. But, yeah. Felicity and her mother, well, they argue. They're very different people, and it's, you know, logical that they would argue in such a way. But they work it out in the end. They find out that there's more in common between them than they thought. They're both tough broads in, you know, good fashion sense. But Donna, who is Felicity's mother, was used as bait to, for incentive. She was used as bait, as incentive for Felicity to do what her ex-boyfriend wanted. Which, thinking about this episode, everything I think feels incomplete. Because hardly any of it has to do with Ollie. Hardly any of it has to do with the bad guy. It's just all about Felicity. Which is fine, because I love Felicity. But when I'm thinking back, I'm like, I'm missing something, and I'm not missing anything. It's just, I can't keep my elbows on the table because it shakes. But I'm not missing anything, it's all Felicity. But yeah, the boyfriend, she didn't want to admit that he was alive, but we knew it had to be him, and there was no other, like, option. I don't know, for some reason that he was the least interesting thing about this entire episode. So, whatever. I was, like, just waiting. I'm like, Felicity, you got some moves. Kick his ass. And she does. She elbows him in the ribs, takes his gun, whacks him in the head with it. It's like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Meanwhile, Ollie's, like, taking out 4 turrets. It's like, what is happening in this episode? Yeah, this was a crazy episode. I'm having trouble, like, keeping my thoughts on track because it was kind of insane. And I think the most interesting thing about this episode was, as I was saying before, Felicity's past. Yeah, Felicity's past and her identity shift. I think that it could be, yes, harmless is just something she wanted to shed, but that wasn't her real hair, it was a wig. She took it off. If her identity really was this goth chick, she would have actually had her hair dyed black. I can't wrap my head around it that there's something wrong. There was something wrong with that picture. And there's a lot of secrets Felicity is hiding. And I mean, at least I thought, we knew Felicity. Like, that's her. And she's not like all these other characters, crazy layers. She's normal like us. She's got the normal amount of layers, but she's not. She's so not normal. And they actually set that up in this episode. They started off like, what do normal people do in the morning? And she's doing normal people, like yoga, coffee, that sort of thing. Then Roy Palmer drops in. You realize she's not normal. She knows all these billionaires and these superheroes, and yeah, so I guess they're setting up for Felicity to be less than normal. More than normal. Ah. But yeah. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about Cooper, the ex-boyfriend, because he's just not interesting at all. At all. So, but Ray Palmer I do want to talk about, because Felicity and Ray have like 3 interactions, short little interactions in this episode, but they are great. Because they're just perfect. But in the beginning was the funniest, because he just shows up at her door. It's like, oh, morning. Why is my boss at my door and I'm in my gym clothes and probably not a bra, and what are you doing here? He's totally crushing on her. I think she should go for the superhero trifecta. Kiss all 3 heroes. He's not a superhero yet, though. But I think he's close. And I think by The Brave and the Bold, we're going to see more interactions between Felicity. No, Felicity. We're going to see more interactions between Ollie and Ray, because The Brave and the Bold, like I said last week, I think, is a reference to Batman, and it was a comic series. Originally, it was a comic series of Batman where other DC heroes would come into. So it would be the Flash and Arrow, Green Arrow, and those kinds of heroes. So I think that The Brave and the Bold, I think, gonna have, if not like the origins of Ray's being the Atom, if not that, then something with Ray. I think he's gonna be important in that episode. Laurel! Okay, now, Laurel made a bad decision calling in the riot squad. I didn't think it was that terrible of a decision, but I guess I don't have a police mind. I don't know things like that. Her father did. I guess she desperately just wanted to do something, and even though maybe the voice in the back of her head was telling her not to do it, she wanted to be active, to do something, because she's got all this pent up, this stuff that she can't tell anyone, so she's got to do, push it down. And She's still not telling her father that Sarah's dead. Ooh, why? The lies, I swear to God. It's like all the shows I watch now are turning into Supernatural with the amount of lying. It's way too much. She really needs to, like, not lie. But she is able to go to Ted and tell him about her sister. Because they had been training earlier in the episode. And he's like, well, you know what? That makes perfect sense. Because you are fighting me like... You are training like, you know, you want to kill your sister's killer. And you can't do that. Now I know how to train you. So we're going to do something different. And, yeah. So I'm very excited for more Ted Grant. We're going to get more of him next episode. Really? Is that it? Oh, Diggle. Oh, listen, I need to tell you, I had a fucking heart attack when Donna said that an Argus agent came and picked up Sarah. I was like, oh no, oh no. Because talked about this in Corto Maltese, but Argus has all this information on their agents. Their families, loved ones, all their weak points and their pressure points, and I'm afraid that soon Diggle and Sarah and the baby mama, whose name I always forget. Baby mama. Are you serious? Why can't I find her name? Baby mama, baby mama, baby mama! Lila! Oh, Lila. It like popped back in my head like while I was searching for it. Lila. Where was I? Oh, they're all in danger. Lila has to do whatever, what's her name says. Amanda Waller. God damn it, these last 2 days with names have been not good at all. Lila has to do everything Amanda Waller tells her to do, or, I mean, she doesn't say that, like, that was her line at the end of Corto Maltese. I do whatever Amanda Waller tells me to do. And what she doesn't say is that there are very real and scary consequences if she doesn't do what Amanda Waller tells her. And Amanda Waller has the names of all these Argus agents and their families, and if something happens, or if they refuse to do something, she puts pressure on their family. And I think something is going to happen to Sarah, and I'm just so scared. Like, when anybody talks about the Argus agents, I'm just like, oh god, no, don't do anything to Sarah. We already lost one Sarah. I can't deal. This is not the kind of show that would kill a baby. This is not the kind of show. No, Taya! Yeah, Taya. She got a new apartment with Malcolm's money, and Ollie got angry, and then he was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll come live with you. I like that they're living under the same roof now. I think, it's going to let Taya bond with Ollie again, and that sibling bond that they've had all their lives. He calls her Speedy, but that sibling bond that they've had all their lives is going to be strengthened again. And I hope that this means that when it comes down to choosing a side, she's going to choose Green Arrow over the Dark Archer. And, you know, and you saw Merlin's upset. He was looking through the window across the building, like, daggers in the back of Ollie's head. Like, it's my daughter, you bitch! It's gonna be some crazy showdown, and I think it's gonna happen in 2 episodes, because the title of that episode is Draw Back Your Bow. And I definitely think a showdown with all of the archers is going to happen. Next episode, Guilty. After a body is found strung up in the Wildcat Gym, Ted Grant becomes the main suspect. Oliver and Laurel argue over Ted's innocence. Meanwhile, in flashbacks, Maceo needs Oliver to remember we're an informant for China White, who is the lady, I forgot her name last week, the assassin lady with the bleach blonde hair. China White stashed key information. He asks Tatsu to help jog Oliver's memory. I'm not sure who Tatsu is. If I'm supposed to remember who that is, then I'm failing because I don't remember who Tatsu is. But Masao is the man that Oliver in the past is staying with in China. Roy shares a secret with Felicity. Roy has been having dreams that he is Sarah's killer. Now, I thought a lot about this. Like, forget everything else in that synopsis. The only important thing that I'm going to talk about right now is Roy shares a secret with Felicity. So, I was thinking a lot about this, and I'm like, could Roy have done it under some influence of some drug? I don't think that's likely. Not impossible, just improbable. Let me explain. So, my theory, obviously, and I think I'm correct, I'm like 99.99% sure I'm correct, is that Ra's al Ghul killed Sarah. Malcolm Merlin agrees with me. He says it to Nyssa when Nyssa is about to kill him over Sarah's death. And I agree. Ra's al Ghul is most probably definitely the killer of Sarah. So that leaves sort of two options. If Ra's al Ghul is the killer or behind the killing, either Ra's al Ghul killed Sarah on his own and is now using some form of potion, or because Ra's al Ghul is old as fuck. He's got this regenerative pool of magic goop that he sits in and regains all his youth. So he's old as fuck. And he learned all this stuff. He's got so much knowledge, and one of them is alchemy. Just chemistry and alchemy and that sort of potion making thing. So I think this is very long-winded, but trust me, there's a point and it's important. So option number one is Ra's al Ghul killed Sarah and is giving Roy a potion to have nightmares about him murdering Sarah. Or Ra's al Ghul used Roy, gave him some sort of potion that somehow controlled him and had him kill Sarah. I think that's less likely, because what the fuck is with the throwing of the arrow? He didn't shoot the arrows into her chest, he threw them into her chest, which is absurd. That's why I think it's the first one. Ra's al Ghul killed her, and is now making Roy believe that he is the killer. Yeah, that's all I got. And I want to see in Ollie's flashbacks, Masao warming up to Ollie. Like, I want to see them be all chummy, because I love Masao. Him and his family are adorable, and I want them to be bros. But I have such a bad feeling that Masao is like gonna bite it bad, or his wife is. Which actually, I did want to talk about this in the first episode not the first episode. I did want to talk about this in the episode that we meet Masao's wife. She's played by an actress who is known for her action roles. You know, like, she was in Wolverine. Yeah, The Wolverine, where he's in Japan. And she does crazy sword fighting stunts, and she's a fucking kick-ass lady. So I'm guessing that soon, when we see her again, she's going to do some fighting. Yeah! I'm very excited for that. And I love Masao. We've already seen him fight. He fought Ollie when Ollie was trying to email home. So I'm just very excited for these flashbacks. These are very interesting. I was afraid that when they started, it wasn't going to be as interesting as the flashbacks on the island when we had, Slade and all that shit. All that shit was crazy. But this shit is just as interesting, and I'm very excited to see more of it. So, that's it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you need to correct anything that I've said in this episode, please comment. If there's something you want me to talk about next week, tell me. I read the comments. There have been no comments. There have been no comments on any of these videos, but I do go, I check, and I read. I will read every comment, and I will give you shout-outs if you shoot me a question. And if you have friends who watch Arrow, go tell them to watch the show if they're interested in, spitballing some stuff. I'd love to hear it. I'm Clio. You can find me at Clio Moto all over the interwebs. It's crazy. I'm like on so many socials. It's insane. You can find all of us and more right here on ASO TV Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google+, MySpace. And I guarantee you we cover another show that you watch, so go check out our playlists. We do The Flash also, so if you watch The Flash, which is a spin-off of this show, go check it out. I do it with Dom, over at Phenomadom. So I will see you next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye. Phenomadom.